Welcome to the Mental Health Bootcamp
Podcast.
podcast.
Boo, 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 boo.
All right, welcome everybody. This is the podcast where 4 psychotherapists, 3 of us Canadian, 1 of us American, serve you cutting-edge mental health knowledge. And I am Dr. Ryan Howes, a clinical psychologist from Pasadena, California.
And I'm Brooke Lewis, a registered clinical counselor from the Vancouver area, Canada.
And I'm Joanna Boyd, also a clinical counselor from the Vancouver area.
I'm Chris Boyd, psychotherapist for the Vancouver area.
Right on. Chris Boyd is also Joanna Boyd's brother.
One of my 2 brothers.
Ah,
That's right.
let's have your other one on sometime. Let's do it.
What could he talk to us about?
I don't know.
He works in a VP in a restaurant, so as a VP, so maybe takes care of all the bar stuff. He could always talk to us about cocktails and things.
Oh, well, sure. I mean, there's a lot of psychology going on in restaurants and bars. That's for sure.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Welcome, you guys. This is the week of Valentine's Day and the beginning of Lent. For those who practice such a thing. Some people give up things for Lent. Some people add new things for Lent. Kind of a habit change for a time being. Kind of interesting.
Yeah. Do you typically partake, Brian, with Lent?
I used to partake a bit more as growing up a pretty religious household, and we used to do kind of the sacrificial kind of giving up of things that you want as a little kid, no chocolate or something like that for the 40 days of Lent, 40-ish days of Lent. No meat on Fridays, that sort of thing was big, of course. Nowadays, I think more about if I'm going to do that, I try to think of adding something. Think about, what could I do to add maybe some physical exercise or mental exercise or something like that. Maybe do gratitude for 40 days, that sort of thing. Yes.
It's a good idea.
Something to think about doing. Speaking of that, now that I think of doing something consistently for a period of time, a friend of mine who listens to the podcast said, "Hey, I really like listening to the Mental Health Bootcamp podcast. You guys, seem to have a lot of fun with each other, and I always learn something." He said, "But don't you also have like a mental health bootcamp?" Kind of forgetting that actually we do have that, and that was actually the start of this, is the mental health bootcamp.
Period. That's it.
That's it. It is an actual bootcamp, right? And yeah, it's just kind of funny how after, 6 months of doing this, we've really mentioned it probably once or twice, and that's about it.
Yeah.
No, all our energy all our meetings would go towards talking about that. And yeah totally. Maybe we should talk about it.
Well, yeah. For those who don't mind, we'll just spend a couple of minutes just letting people know about the podcast. If you already know it, or if you've already done not the podcast, the boot camp. If you've already done the boot camp, or you know all about it, maybe you can just fast forward 2 minutes and
Yeah.
this. But actually,
good idea.
For people who are watching, I'm going to actually show a bit of the boot camp through a screen share thing. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see kind of what some of it looks like. So, but first of all, what is it? What is our boot camp? Someone want to summarize it?
Well, I think Chris should, because it was originally Chris's idea. How many years ago was that? Do you guys, 4 years, 5 years, 4?
Well,
4
we
years,
launched it 3 years ago. And I think we were in the making for at least a year.
Yeah.
So maybe Chris thought about it even before that.
Yeah, so the idea of it is based on the research within psychology and related health disciplines, that we have a program that people can engage in. So we built this online platform from the ground up. So each day you do 4 or 5 different activities, and those activities fall into one of 5 categories, I believe. Information that you read, a reflection that you write. So you write it actually on the website and it saves it, and it's all confidential. meditations you listen to, activities you engage in, and then videos that you watch. So a pretty integrative approach. And it actually covers a wide range of topics. So we kind of put our heads together and did a lot of research on it and kind of built this curriculum. So it has a good flow from day 1 through day 25. So 25 days, you can take longer if you want to. And at the end, you actually earn a certificate. So a sense of accomplishment there too.
Yes, that electronic certificate, which is worth its weight in gold, right?
Very printable.
Yeah. And the aim is what? Boosting well-being?
That's right. Yeah. So all the different techniques and strategies, and it's all, it's based on research. So it aimed at boosting well-being, or to be more specific, strategies aimed at maybe helping with anxiety and feelings of sadness and anger. So a lot of good psychoeducation in there.
Not to replace therapy.
Not to replace therapy, for sure. It's kind of a unique kind of program.
To enhance life a little bit.
Yeah. So help you develop some habits and built-in motivation as well to stick with it. So it kind of tracks your progress.
You're also raising self-awareness. We're trying to ask some questions in there that will have people reflect and kind of pause and think about themselves a little bit, and why they do what they do. And there are a few other things. There's some quizzes in there as well to help understand yourself better, personality things, and a quiz on your top values, right? What it is. So I'll just spend a second here. I'll show you all the page here. This is my page, and I've already completed the program, but
so this is the dashboard, what Ryan is showing. So when you go to the mental health bootcamp, there will be like a landing page that looks different from what he's showing. So right now it has our logo and a congratulations banner. Keep going, Ryan, and I'll just keep plugging in kind of description.
You get to see your progress as you're going along, right? How far you're going, how far you have until you're finished with all the programs here, all the different days. And then we see these tiles here that are each one day at a time, and they have nature pictures. And here's a little trivia. Who took most of these pictures?
It was between some of my pictures as well as Chris and I's sisters.
Nice.
It's a mix of ours. So mostly nature pictures.
Yeah, beautiful pictures.
And one thing is when you have to complete day 1 in order to progress to the next day.
Yeah.
So that is an important part.
Yeah. And then each day has a different topic to it.
So just for example, I'll show you day 3. We get past kind of the introductory stuff, and day 3's topic is mindfulness. And so there's a little reading exercise, kind of what is mindfulness, what's the introduction to it, what's it all about, how is it helpful, what are the benefits?
Yeah, we tried to keep the reading parts with enough in it that you're going to learn something, but not long enough that you're going to be bored, right? So we wanted the reading to be, I don't know, probably 10 minutes or less. And I think a 10-minute one is very rare in there. I would say most of them are maybe a 6-minute read or less.
Sure.
And
that's how fast you can read, right?
Yeah.
And then we have like meditations. So we've pre-recorded some meditation exercises that are, I think they sound great, and I think they're pretty effective at kind of giving someone, if you've never done any mindfulness meditation, it's a great introduction to that.
Sure. And then isn't there a guitar interlude?
Yes, there is.
Meditations, and who did that?
That was me playing that guitar. Yes.
Yeah, it was.
I actually went to an actual recording studio to play the guitar, and then someone did the vocals as well.
And fun fact, Ryan also does the introduction for our bootcamp podcast music each week.
That headbanger music at the beginning. Yes. So there's yes, we have these writing exercises that you reflect upon, and when you get done with each day, you get to the next day, all the way through 25, and you have achieved wellness at that point. Well, no, we can't make that claim. But
No.
you've at least completed the boot camp, the mental health boot camp. I keep saying podcast.
You got podcasts on the mind.
I know. Gosh. That's right.
Yeah. And it's up to the person to put work into it, right? Like it's a boot camp. It's supposed to be a challenge and you're
Mhm.
putting in daily effort, and it does take time, but the more time you put in, the better chance you're going to reap the rewards. So
And a little tip for anyone who is going to maybe give it a go is I would recommend opening that day, whatever day you're on, and just kind of perusing the challenges for the day. Because if you wait until later in the evening, you might open something and say, oh, I wish I knew about this in the morning. Whether maybe a challenge is a little bit of exercise, or if it's about connecting to someone, so it just kind of preps your day. All the activities put together are going to take anywhere from 40 minutes to maybe an hour or just over an hour if you were to do them consecutively, but you can break them up throughout your day.
Yeah. How much does it cost?
$39.99.
$39.99, no matter where you live, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have a code that we could think of off the top of our heads?
A code.
You just got to text Sergey pretty quick about it.
No, I think we had existing code. Maybe they're not active. Okay, next podcast, we'll mention a code, a discount code.
There we go. Yes, tune in next week and we'll tell you how you can get a discount on the podcast. Also, by the way, we've had a lot of fun with this. We've a lot of individual people have gone through it and just done it on their own, and they've enjoyed it. Some of them told us about that. Also, though, one thing we've been doing recently has been companies have signed up for this and made it like a benefit to their employees. And they'll say, we'll kind of buy enough of these so that anyone in our company can use it at their own leisure, kind of as a little perk for the employees to help bolster their own mental health. So that's kind of a cool idea too, if you guys are interested in that.
That's true. Yeah, we worked with an agency. Was it a few months ago, 6 months ago? 400 or 500 members of the agency. A good percentage of them actually did the boot camp. So
yeah. So if you're interested in that, maybe you can write to us, info@mentalhealthbootcamp.com, and let us know. And so, yes, we are more than just a podcast. We're actually a boot camp. That's our origin story, is the boot camp itself.
True.
That's right. Okay, enough about that. Let's
on to the ambush.
Let's get on to the ambush here. So which one of you is doing the ambush tonight?
Geez, I don't know. Who is it?
Oh, that's right. It's me.
It's kind of funny. Prior to starting the podcast tonight, we said, who's up tonight? And we're like, oh, it's Ryan. Ryan's like, no, it's not. We kind of caught him off guard there. So
we thought he was joking with
us. To think on his toes, and he has something waiting for us.
He had about 4 or 5 minutes there to come up with something.
I have some. I showed you guys. I have some kind of on deck waiting for every time I'm up to bat. So I had no problem with this one, and I'm actually looking forward to talking about this. So, as per usual, one of us knows what the topic is. That's me. 3 of us do not. That's you guys. I'm going to text this to myself and read it to you guys. And here we go. All right. You guys ready? You nervous?
Yeah.
Oh, nervous.
Brooke, when you do deep breathing when you're nervous, what do you do?
When I'm nervous?
Yeah. Like you do like an exercise, like breathe in.
Smell flowers or something.
Oh yeah, sometimes I do that. Yeah. So for breathing, when you inhale, breathing in through your nose, you pretend you're smelling flowers. And then on the exhale, you imagine blowing out birthday candles, especially, COVID, because you can't actually blow out birthday candles right now. But imagine that you're, like over the age of 30. So you have to blow out many candles, more than like 2. So in through the nose, smell the flowers, everybody. And then exhale, blow out the candles.
Oh, that's good.
A lot of candles.
I feel so much more relaxed. That's good.
Yeah. Joanna, did you have one too?
Similar technique, in through the nose, out through the mouth, but pretend you have a nice mug of hot chocolate in front of you and give that hot chocolate a big smell in. And then it's really hot to drink, so you have to blow on it first. And that's good. I made you wait because you should actually, well, some people say to hold your breath for a few seconds before you blow out. So there you go. A few little things to keep in mind.
All right. Little exercises. Maybe that's something, anyone who has kids, maybe that'd be kind of a fun way to teach some deep breathing exercises. Who knows? Okay. Back to the matter at hand. The ambush is happening. Here we go. Why all the focus on happiness? Is it possible to be happy more often? How can we do that? What is the downside to all this happiness stuff, if any?
Oh my gosh.
Can you repeat all the questions?
Yes, all the questions. There's several questions. Why all the focus on happiness?
Why the focus?
Speaking in general, there's a lot of talk these days about happiness, how to be 10% happier, all these different, ideas about happiness. Is it actually possible to be happy more often? Can we do that? Is that achievable? And then if any, what is the downside to all the talk about happiness?
Great questions.
Happiness. I told you I had one on deck. It was right there. Jeez, just doubt me. That makes me unhappy. So why are we so focused on happiness these days? Especially, the world of psychology, we're oftentimes telling people how to be happier. Why does that seem like such an important goal for people right now?
Ryan, I somewhat disagree with you that we teach, yes, we teach people how to be happier. That's one of our skills. But I think the focus of therapy is more on helping you feel better. And I don't think feeling better is always necessarily happiness.
Okay.
I just wanted to
keep going. No. I mean, there are many books on happiness and that sort of thing out there. But you're right. I mean, I know that there's more of a segment of psychology that's focused on that. Maybe might be in the positive psychology realm or somewhere. But
yeah,
I'll retract that and say, certainly not 100% of therapists are focused on happiness. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's such a focus because so many people are struggling. Things have never been so good, yet the prevalence of feeling down or depressed is as high as it's ever been, I believe, right? I don't know the stats offhand here, but
I don't know how much they researched it. 75 years ago, were they doing mass scale assessments or research studies? I'm not really sure, right?
Yeah. It seems like the pursuit of happiness is very much focused on, right? There's like a social or cultural expectation that you're supposed to be content and happy with life. And for a lot of people, they don't feel that way. So, it creates a lot of further distress for them, right?
And then if we take a look at that, I think it's so multi-layered of why are people pursuing this is a really big question, because is it, starting with, commercialism and marketing and the messages that we're getting that, hey, you're actually not happy until you get whatever, right? Like, is there a little bit, is that kind of where part of the origin was, or is this a natural evolution of persons as we move through, okay, we have, well, not everybody, but we do have housing or food or supply, there's resources and things, and so what's the next thing, kind of like a hierarchy of development, and now are we trying to reach self-actualization?
And yet self-actualization is not really happiness, right?
No.
Self-actualization is becoming all that you can be, basically, and actualizing all of the parts of self. Whereas happiness is a feeling. It's a mood state that's not constant, not really supposed to be constant. It's supposed to be kind of this thing that you feel once in a while. And of course, we all like feeling that way. But yeah, there's a lot of talk about kind of how to be happy and happier.
Yeah, it seems to be a goal, seems to be the end goal for a lot of people. And you hear things about, it's more about the journey versus getting to the end goal, or what is happiness and how would you even define it? I feel like it is a feeling, but for some people who are like, I'll be happy when I get that job. I'll be happy when, I'm going to that place. And then it seems like that can be tricky because they're searching for something that might not be what they think it is, or
Yeah.
might not be as satisfying as they hope it would be, because then they're like, now what? And then it becomes more, it's a little bit more complicated than people think.
Yeah,
No, it
that's
is.
actually, there's a term for what Joanna's describing, which is destination happiness. And it's a happiness myth, right? So I'll be happy when, whatever, fill in the blank. I get a job, I get the promotion, I buy a bigger house, I move, I travel, whatever it is, but that's not actually where it comes from.
For sure. And Brooke, you touched on like how there's a lot of different factors that play into this, but again, these cultural expectations that, are emphasizing certain things that maybe don't lead to a sense of happiness. For instance, having that new fancy car, or having a big house, or more the materialistic side of things, right? So I think lately there's been a huge emphasis on things that make people feel, in the end, kind of empty, or they go through all these proper steps in terms of how they're supposed to engage in life, and in the end, they don't have that sense of that, or that feeling of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
They can be large things, they can be small things as well. I mean, in commercials, it's like, I'm sitting on my patio with a cup of tea and now I am happy. Like there's maybe small
totally.
things like that. I also, I'm talking a lot about commercialism, but I also think like social media, Instagram stuff, there's a lot there. I think for a lot of folks, the photos they post it's about maybe trying to portray happiness. Hey, look how happy I am, everybody. And I think that makes other people feel that, oh, I'm missing out. I wish I had that happiness that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
how do I feel as happy as you look, as happy as you appear to be right now?
Yeah, keywords being appear, and through the lens of social media, it's sometimes hard to actually know who is actually happy.
It is.
Which is a whole other subject, but
Mm-hmm.
As we do oftentimes here, maybe we do have to kind of step back and define, just as far as we're concerned, what is this happiness we're talking about, right? Because we all these terms we use interchangeably, like contentment, happiness, joy. How would we like to define happiness here?
It's a great question.
Would it be accumulation of just content feelings, like of satisfaction maybe? Or because I think of contentment or joy. I don't know, I feel like it could be all of that in one,
like a positive state of elation.
I would agree that it's like a positive emotion state that you're feeling, where there might be elation or warmth or jubilant. That's a fun word. Maybe you feel a bit jubilant.
Yeah.
And then I think when people ask the question, like, are you happy? I think that's kind of more referring to, are those moments of happiness frequent for you, right? So if you're having many moments of happiness is occurring, if that emotion is occurring throughout your day and your week, and then you're going to answer yes. If you have few of those moments, you might not answer yes. It doesn't mean you don't achieve happiness, moments of happiness or feelings of happiness. It's that maybe your average is lower.
Could it be like a sense of satisfaction or just overall well-being, and not necessarily?
I think it's interesting, Joe. You're talking about like contentment, and then satisfaction, and then well-being, which I think are all maybe a part of it. But I guess when I hear happiness, I think of it more of being like a spike, like there's something that's above a norm there. It's beyond just feeling okay. It's feeling giddy, jubilant, all of those things that we were talking about before, like this almost an excited feeling. I don't know if that's, we're co-defining this. So when I think of it, I guess I think of it as being something that's more of an excitable state. And I emphasize state, like it's not necessarily a trait. We talk about that in psychology, the difference between states and traits. Traits are something that's more kind of fixed. This is like part of your personality. A state is more of a feeling that you have for a period of time, minutes, hours, maybe days, but it's not really who you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you think some people take that on though? Sorry, Brooke. Like, I'm not a happy person, or they think if, I don't know, when I talk to clients, I try to make note that you might not be happy all the time, right? But you'd have these moments of happiness, and that's something to account for versus, but then I feel like people talk about happiness as I'm not like, as it needs to be something they feel all the time. And if they don't, then there's something wrong. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel that something would be wrong if you felt it all the time.
That's what I
Yeah.
mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Like,
what's realistic?
Then
right?
you'd be like manic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
Yeah.
that's I guess I'm showing a little bit of my bias on this, is that I actually believe that the quest for 100% happiness all the time is unrealistic and actually can be harmful to people who believe that that's something that's achievable. And what's wrong with me for not getting that, not being that way.
I agree.
And I think that when people kind of promote that idea of like, be happy all the time, I don't hear that all that often, but we do hear a lot about people talking about being happy and how to get there. That I think it might set a really high bar for some folks that could be really discouraging if it can't
Yeah,
reach it.
definitely.
I agree. I think a healthy range of emotion is what the goal is, right?
Mhm.
So you can't selectively numb certain emotions. You want a nice range.
Mm-hmm.
You want a nice range of emotions.
Well,
As people say, you can't be selective about that. You can't just have joy and happiness in your life and try to exclude all the anger and sadness and fear and all of that. If you tamp down one, you're going to tamp down all of them.
Yeah. And you're going to feel incomplete. There's to be something that's missing.
That's a good point.
Can you imagine if something tragic happened in your life? Maybe there's a grief or a loss or something, and you only felt jubilant, like, and joy. It wouldn't fit. It wouldn't match. You would want to feel that sadness or that loss or the grief or the anger. It's important to feel those things.
Some people, I'm just going to call you on that one real quick, Brooke, because I know that there are some people, some clients that I've had, people that I've known, and maybe even I've said this myself, like, well, what's the value in that? Why would I want to feel sad? Why would I want to feel angry? How does that actually benefit me? That's a lousy feeling. I don't like how I feel when I'm feeling that way.
It is lousy. It is uncomfortable. Absolutely. I agree that it's lousy and uncomfortable, but it's also a way to honor what's happened in your life events. To give, instead of like to face that and to honor it and sink into it and validate it. It's a much more richer experience.
Sure.
Isn't there a saying, well, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but without suffering, there can't be joy or something, like without feeling that some sadness or the hard parts of life, we don't fully know or fully appreciate those happy feelings or those moments of,
No, for sure. So, like they serve a purpose.
I don't know if that's a reason.
Right?
Yeah.
The anger often is when you're sensing unfairness or injustice, and anxiety is anticipation of harm and danger, and sadness often has to do with loss. So it can help guide us. And I think it actually helps us connect with others, oddly enough. Imagine being around someone who's happy all the time, like every single moment of the day. I don't think we would even trust that. We would have a hard time with that.
I think some people have known those folks and maybe sometimes get a little annoyed by that because it doesn't feel authentic. Because it doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Doesn't feel like it's a natural human experience. To always be happy.
Yeah. But maybe that's more the overt happiness, right? Like over the top happiness, where a lot of people are either even keel and feel quite pleasant for good portions of the day. So I always have a sense of calm and tranquility. So I think that maybe is possible, but
yeah, I think it's Ryan, someone might say, yeah, why would I want to feel those things? And it's a fair thing to say, but we as human beings are just built in with these emotions, and it's kind of part of being a human, and it's hard, but we just have to try to navigate it. So you know, there might be, I don't know. It's not like, well, I want to grow up not feeling all these things. It's kind of just, you're going to feel it, and it's how you handle it, or if you avoid them, or if you try to, you know, learn how to cope the best way you can. I don't know. It doesn't seem, we don't really have a choice as humans, I guess.
I think there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
All right. We've been doing a bit of happy slamming here. Like, to go back to the original questions here, I mean, just in terms of in general, is it possible to feel happy more often, and how can we do that? Like, I'm sure there are times when maybe we're feeling unhappy kind of unnecessarily, or maybe there's something we can do to help change that. So if we want to talk to people about realistic and authentic ways that people can maybe feel happier in their lives, just what comes to mind off the cuff there for you guys?
I think research over and over and over and over and over has now shown that connection helps promote feelings of happiness, right? So connecting to other people, like socially connecting, so the quality of your relationships. And we're not meant to live in isolation from each other. We're meant to connect to one another. We're social beings, and we need to have healthy connections, right? So and we don't need a ton. We only need a few, just a handful, but a handful of people that you can truly connect with.
Yeah,
I've spoken with so many people over this pandemic, especially with people being, locked down and isolated and stuff, and how it's such a cruel trick of both anxiety and depression, that what you want to do the most is isolate oftentimes, but what you need to do the most is connect, because that's really one of the best remedies for this, or at least coping mechanisms, is to connect with people, not isolation, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, there's that 70-year study that was done at Harvard.
Yeah.
And the conclusion was, the quality of our relationships is the best predictor of our emotional as well as physical well-being, which is pretty crazy. So, yeah.
The 70-year study, this was the one where they studied people longitudinally, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean, Ryan, for our listeners?
I will explain. So they actually took a group of, I believe, kindergartners or preschoolers, and they tested them on different measures of well-being. I can't remember how many there were. The number of people who were all exactly the same age, and then they came back to them a few years later. Was this the 7-year study? They came back 7 years later and measured the same thing, and then 7 years later and 7 years later. Can't remember, but a longitudinal study is when you take the same group of people and you measure them some period of time in the future over and over and over again. And so this 70-year study from Harvard, they looked basically over a lifetime of these group of people, and they found that the ones who had better social connections had better overall well-being, mental and physical health, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
And are we saying well-being is synonymous with happiness?
I think well-being is maybe the soil from which happiness grows.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, we're on board with that. Yeah.
I still think that happiness is a state. I think that well-being might be more of the general landscape. It's like I have my physical health, I have my mental health, I have relational health.
Yeah.
And
a bit of a baseline.
I have a baseline, and that helps me. That kind of primes me to be more available for happiness if it comes along.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify there.
No, that's good.
What the study was testing and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, go ahead.
I was going to say Martin Seligman, or do you have another thought to finish off that conversation? I was going to
add things. I was going to add some potential contributing factors to happiness.
Let's hear them.
Me too. Yeah, go for
it. Okay, I was going to say another option would be a sense of belonging. Mm-hmm. So finding people of like-minded. So Marsha Linehan, she gives the example of, if you're a tulip, but you're in a rose garden, you're not going to feel like you fit in. You need to go find your other tulips. So go find your tulips. Go for it.
A lot of
So
soil
that
and flower analogies here.
just going with it. I'm running with it. And then the other one would be service, I think. So giving contribution to your community, your social interest.
Yeah, the Dalai Lama once said, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion, do something to ease their suffering and give them a boost. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. And I think the research backs that, right?
Yeah.
So being other-centered or taking it, something larger than yourself, like finding a cause.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Martin Seligman also talks about flow, get into that flow state. So I think we've all been there before, where you kind of lose track of time. You're engaged in a hobby. So he talks about how that is correlated with feelings of contentment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, curiosity, fostering curiosity is a good one. There were some studies, I couldn't tell you who is, like how they did the study. I just remember the conclusion, which was, or the theory behind this is that when you learn something new, there's more growth in your brain. The neurons grow more connections. And when that happens, that gives us a boost of well-being and feelings of happiness.
Yeah. Or how about gratitude? There's been some studies that have said if you practice gratitude, so three different things throughout the day that you appreciate, it's got to be specific and concise, and you got to kind of relive it in your mind or write it down. So if you do 3 different ones, I think they say it takes 21 days to develop a habit. If you keep it up for 40 days, I believe you can increase levels of happiness by 25 to 30%.
What do you know?
Lots of things, lots of ideas.
I'm going to go to, I guess, the some of the basics, I guess, of building that general well-being, though, which is
Soil health.
Soil
Carbon.
health. Yes. Yes, soil health. I would say that if someone, let's say that you're having a hard time feeling that happiness, then there may be some other things you want to consider too. Maybe you have to back up before doing some of the great things you guys just mentioned. Maybe there's some unresolved issues from your own life that that inhibit you from seeking out gratitude or from giving to others and that sort of thing. So there may be some trauma or some sort of experience from your own past that actually becomes a real roadblock to you finding or even seeking out happiness. So maybe something back there that needs to be addressed and resolved. You may have a really negative self-talk, a really critical voice that's in there that's hard to bust through. You may need to do some work on developing a more positive self-talk or that kind of self-esteem work that people need to do in order to feel like, some people would even just say to this question, well, I just don't deserve happiness in the first place, because they keep telling themselves what a loser they are, or how evil they are, whatever that might be. Yeah. And they might need to forgive themselves or work through some things, start to rewire some of those old messages before they can even start to do the positive stuff you guys are talking about. And in addition, just going back to episode number 1, kind of some general well-being ideas, sleep, food, exercise, these things. If you don't feel like you're in a good place of self-care, then it might be hard to even start to look at happiness as being an option for you. So you might want to start with those basics first and take a look around and see, okay, am I taking good care of myself? Do I feel like I have kind of resolved some issues from my past or whatever I need to do to kind of work towards happiness? And then maybe I can sort of apply some of these principles you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
And even Ryan, in addition to past stuff, but just some current issues that could be going on or hardships in your life, like
totally,
like a lot of stresses these days, like a pandemic or and everything that comes with that, or just generational stuff or whatever, family, like all of these different things. So past, current, some people might think it's hard to find happiness when life is stressful all the time, or reliving traumas or things. I don't know.
Johan Hari has the book Lost Connections. I'm just reading it now. Have you guys read that one? He talks about unhappiness or depression often stems from disconnection from people, disconnection from a hopeful and secure future, disconnection from meaningful values, disconnection from nature, But he also talked about, of course, trauma and the history, the context there based on the research that he did. So yeah, absolutely. There's patterns and habits that exist within our minds, bodies as well, sensations, and that can impact our ability to engage in life.
What's the name of the book again there, Chris?
Lost Connections.
Johan Hari?
Yeah, with a J. J-O, I can't, H-A-N, and then Hari, H-A-R-I.
Yeah, it's a really good read. Yeah, he talks about the research there on antidepressants as well, and kind of goes down the rabbit hole of that. But yeah,
super
so I like that though, Ryan, the context, and Joanna as well, and what's going on in your life. Might be some problems that need to be addressed. There's more of that solution focused approach, right?
Yeah, and I think too, helping someone who might only be able to control so many variables in their life, like if here are the things that are going on and I have to kind of continue living life under these circumstances, how do we help those people, or how do we help ourselves kind of, given being a tulip in a certain environment, how do we kind of make the most of it and try to find happiness, even through hardships or despite hardships or things like I'm saying that very simply, although it's very challenging and can be challenging, but and try to help yourself through that. Yeah. And not these all have to solve in order for me to be happy, or how can I be happy amidst all this stuff still, or find those bits of happiness.
So in some ways we need to face those negative emotions that we've been trying to ignore so that we can free ourselves of them before we could experience greater happiness. Maybe just going back to those negative emotion conversation at the start.
Just coping in general.
Honor them and feel them and work through them and accept them. Maybe they get in the way of, maybe they're making our soil unhealthy.
Yeah, reaching out for support if need be, and through connections, kind of helping that way, or lots of things.
Yeah, if your reaction doesn't fit the situation, it's probably stemming from the past, or there's a context there, perhaps. Yeah.
Boy, we had a lot to say about this, huh? This is good stuff.
Yeah. Nature. We got to remember nature.
Sorry. Oh, I was going to be like nerd. I was going to be like nurture.
Disconnection from nature. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to throw that out there. Blurt it out just before you end. I'm not sure we're getting close to ending this podcast, but.
Well, I just kind of thinking about, gosh, we're all just kind of chomping at the bit, having so much to talk about here, and so many things to say about this happiness topic, right?
Well, I think we all get annoyed at the messaging that's out there, right? And kind of, again, circling back to what we were talking about before, the clients are coming in with this expectation that they should be happy all the time, but that's just unrealistic. And there's so much unrealistic messaging out there, which is just contributing to this critical voice of like, I should be happier. I shouldn't feel sad. Whatever the heck the shoulds are.
Yeah.
When it's baloney.
I was thinking, Brooke, too, like we've talked about neuroplasticity, how the brain can develop new pathways, but keep in mind, if we develop some bad habits in terms of our thoughts and behaviors, then that process neuroplasticity can work against us a bit, right? So it takes a little while to develop these new habits. So some people say, well, okay, I did that. I went for a walk, or I'm practicing gratitude, or I'm trying to confront my thoughts a bit, but the feelings of happiness aren't spiking up like they hoped. So I just want to remind people it's often gradual, right? So whether you feel happy right after is not a good metric that we're looking for. It's like trying to trust in the process a bit, and trying to, engage in these habits. And over time, I think those feelings will come.
Absolutely.
If happiness isn't really the goal, then Brooke, you were touching on this at the beginning. What do you think actually is the goal? What are we really trying to shoot for in therapy, but in life?
I think it's hope and optimism.
Hope and optimism. Okay.
I think that it's kind of more what people are looking for, or a sense of clarity, or security, maybe. like to wake up and feel okay, and like to feel hopeful about the future and what's going to come. And so I think it's kind of gets wrapped up in that a bit, and optimism maybe a little bit.
Okay. You guys have any other views on that?
Engagement or connection, I guess. Balance. So I mentioned, we talked about that before too. So a good range. So didn't Ryan, I think you said this in our boot camp, that emotions are the spice of life, but not the main course or something like that. I know we're on our flower analogies here, but this was a food one.
Yeah. Okay, so you say it again, Chris. It's Connection. Yes. Okay, so we've got optimism and hope. We've got connection. Joe, you got something to add?
What are people really looking for?
Oh man, I think purpose, maybe. I'm gonna throw that one out there.
Good one.
Yeah, just a feeling of maybe contentment might go with that, or they're striving for, feeling they have purpose, life has purpose, and maybe a contentment in wherever they land with that.
Like a petunia.
Petunia?
A petunia's purpose is to feed the hummingbird, right? I don't even know.
Oh boy.
I'm just trying to go with the flower thing. Okay, Brian, what do you think?
This is really similar to Joe. Meaning is a big thing for me. I like the idea of meaning. Chris, I'm surprised you didn't say meaning because you're such a big Frankel fan.
I know.
You blew it, Chris. You blew it. Get out of here.
But meaning and purpose
See you later.
are pretty interchangeable. Meaning, purpose, and security, I think, is something that, like a secure attachment, whether that's a relational attachment. I mean, a lot of people talk about their quest for money. I think oftentimes that's a quest for security. I just want to feel safe. I want to feel like I'm going to be okay. I can weather the storm. Exactly. I know what tomorrow looks like. And meaning, what am I here for? What am I doing? What's my goal in life? And sometimes achieving that meaning or working towards that meaning, or serving that meaning isn't joyful. Sometimes it's hard work. Sometimes it's grit. Sometimes it's disappointment. You have to overcome obstacles and face hardship. But there's something even in that, if you're working towards some overarching goal, that hardship can feel meaningful. It can feel purposeful. It's like, it's okay because I'm shooting for something. And so that's where I think of, like, someone who is finishing a marathon is not happy, but God, did they have a lot of meaning and purpose? They've just achieved something, accomplished something for themselves. Maybe they're happy when they cross the finish line, but they weren't happy all 26 miles, or a lot of different things in life that we do that are just hard, that actually feel good at the end because we accomplished something meaningful. So, gosh, we have a lot of good happiness alternatives, or at least happiness adjuncts, I guess. They're part of happiness, I guess. That we threw out here.
What we just sort of did on our own there a little bit was outlined Perma.
What is that?
What's that?
So Martin Seligman, who's the founder of positive psychology. I'm surprised Chris didn't bring up Perma. I don't know what's wrong with you.
Get out of here, Chris.
Is your brain even working right now? What is happening?
You only quoted 5 other people, Chris.
Yeah, you missed your mark of 10. Seriously. But founder of positive psychology, done tons of research, and so he believes that a positive state is coming from 5 areas, and the acronym is PERMA. So it's positive emotion, which is kind of what I was alluding to, hope and optimism, engagement. So I think we kind of touched on that. Relationships, right? I'm on the R. Chris mentioned connections to other. Meaning, that's come up. And accomplishments.
Interesting.
So we naturally just came up with PERMA.
There we go. Wow.
Just switch the P for positive emotions with purpose. That'll be great. Thanks.
I think you and I are the same camp there.
Meaning
with
and purpose, Sarah.
meaning and purpose.
No, I know. I'm just bugging. Yeah.
So
Totally.
close, so close. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, so we are all right, according to Martin Seligman.
I feel so happy right now. I can't tell you.
We should feel very complete as a group.
That is very good. Well, look, let's wrap it up. This was a lot of fun. I feel like it was a very engaging conversation tonight. So look, everybody, if you're so inclined, the actual boot camp is at www.mentalhealthbootcamp.com.
And there's a happiness day.
There is a happiness day. There is. That's true. And we will get you a special code next week so you can get some money off if you want to. Also, by the way, you can give it as a gift if you want to. If you know someone who might benefit from this, there's a gift giving option here too. So you can gift it to a friend or family member. But that's it for us for tonight. I would like to say thank you for being here. Please like and subscribe on Apple, Google, Podbean, Audible, Spotify, or YouTube. Send your questions to info@mentalhealthbootcamp.com. Visit us on Facebook or Instagram. Tell a friend or two. And don't worry, be happy. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.